Implemented email authentication methods, check. Built and improved domain reputation, check. Avoided spam filters at all cost, check. But the list of things that help you improve your email deliverability does not end here. Let us add PTR records to the equation and see the difference it makes. Welcome to Mailtrap videos, where we share email deliverability tips. Here is our guide on the PTR records. When it comes to email authentication, PTR records are at times overlooked, and that is exactly why I am here to tell you more about them. So what are PTR records? PTR records, short for pointer records, are used to perform reverse DNS lookup, which is why at times it is also referred to as RDNS. As you probably know, DNS is sort of a phone book for the internet where it stores an enormous amount of information about the registered domains. To access it, you need to perform a DNS lookup of a given domain. This is typically done by the browsers right after you type an email address. With a DNS lookup, they can quickly understand that the blog or a channel address actually represents a specific IP address. This result is called an A record. A PTR record, on the other hand, is obtained in the opposite fashion. By performing a reverse DNS lookup, a server can quickly resolve an IP address to obtain a domain or a hostname. That leads to the question, why are PTR records important? As you know, email travels across the servers on the way to the recipient's email client. Before it is delivered to an inbox, most email providers will enforce one simple test. They shall run a DNS lookup simultaneously with an RDNS lookup and will compare whether the results match. If they do not, or a PTR record simply does not exist, an email is likely to be sent to spam or even discarded. PTR records are a defense used by the servers against spammers, and especially those that use fraudulent domain names. Let us use Mailtrap.io as an example here. If the records are configured for Mailtrap.ip, resolving an IP address with a PTR lookup shall not point to a real domain. This, as a result, will send up a red flag to the MTA and will likely lead to an email being discarded. And this is exactly why it is important to have a PTR record added to your domain's DNS if you are sending out mass emails. To quickly check your PTR records, select an email and go to Email Headers. Find the IP address here, copy it and head over to dnschecker.org. Paste the IP address in the field here and switch the selection to PTR records. Click on Search to begin the check, and then you can see that you're good to go. PTR records are also important for marketers and their analytical tools such as Google Analytics. As a website owner, you can easily see which IP addresses visit your pages, and the numbers themselves will be rather meaningless, but thanks to our DNS lookup, you can see the host names and the domains of visitors. And this, as you know, gives you valuable information. With all of that in mind, we need to learn how to add a PTR record to your domain's DNS. Same as when you add a regular A record, adding a PTR record also very much depends on your hosting provider. For some, you should be able to add one on your own from the admin panel, but for others, you might need to reach out to the support team so that they can set it up for you. But for the purposes of this guide, we shall assume you are able to add the PTR records yourself. To do so, you shall need to define a reverse zone. By definition, a zone is a separate portion of a domain namespace in DNS. A zone is directly related to the size of your IP network. Mailtrap's IP, which is 3.215.223.38, uses a traditional IPv4 protocol that has a dotted decimal structure. So there are 255 IP addresses available from this one all the way up to 55. Since we need an address for the entire zone, we omit the last digit and reverse the order of the numbers. The address of our PTR record would be this. Now, if we were to create a PTR record only for one single address, we would use this IP address. But what is this in-adtr.arpa I keep mentioning in each address? Well, it is a second-level domain suffix that is added to all the addresses in IPv4. And if you were to use a more common IP in the IPv6 system, a PTR record's address would end up with ip6.arpa. So add a PTR record following these rules. Then check if there is a match. Mailtrap.io should point to an A record such as this, while this would point to Mailtrap's PTR record. If this is the case for your domain's DNS, you can say you have reached a forward-confirmed reverse DNS, or FCR DNS for short. A PTR record should look like this. On the screen here, you can see the host, type, point, and TTL. If you were wondering if you can have multiple PTR records, I was just about to answer that. By definition, a PTR record can only point to one host name. But what if you want to have multiple PTR records for a single IP address? Well, this could work when you have several domains registered, each pointing to the same IP address and displaying the same website when entering an address. To get the PTR records right, you will want to resolve this IP address for each of these domains. Otherwise, you just won't have a match. DNS does not restrict the number of entries you can have, but having multiple PTR records is usually not recommended. Software running mail servers often expect only a single entry for each IP address. So when it retrieves it, it starts treating it as a canonical name for a given hostname. As a result, if multiple PTR records are defined for a single IP address, during a reverse DNS lookup, a server may just pick one at random, and that one might not necessarily match the A record. When adding an MX record to your DNS, you can specify their priority. However, for the PTR records, no such features are available. As a result, adding multiple PTR records for an individual IP does not make you look any more credible in the eyes of ISPs. Quite the opposite. It might result in failed verification of an A or PTR records and lower the chances of your email getting delivered. And that is all there is to it. PTR records might look like a minor addition to the email authentication list, but now we understand its importance. Especially considering how easy the PTR record implementation is, it truly is worth a try. Thank you for watching our guide on PTR records. This was provided to you by Mailtrap email delivery platform. Test, send, control your emails in one place. If you found this video useful, do like and subscribe to not miss out on our upcoming email delivery content. Until next time.